Good morning and good evening, class. Welcome back. Today we will be starting Business Essentials Part 3. And this Part 3 will basically be focusing on the documentations. We have been studying a lot about requirement gathering processes, tools, techniques, advantages, disadvantages, stakeholders. We almost know everything that comes under basic course of business analysis. And in this part 3, we will focus on the documentation. So there are three things we have in this part 3. Let me show you. The first one, we will be discussing about the MOM, the minutes of meeting. And the second thing, requirement traceability metrics. And the final one, which is the most important part of this session, is BRD, business requirement documentations. We all have seen a little bit about these three before in our previous classes, and we all know some extent what is MOM and what is stress matrix and what is BRD. The agenda of this course will be detailing these three and know more about them. So for the YouTube viewers, if you're watching it here, if you would like to go back and see the previous videos, this will be helpful for you. Otherwise, it is not required because we will be discussing these three from the start, so you can continue watching this video if you're watching on YouTube. So we will complete the whole training, this whole essentials in 2 classes. Today, we will be completing MOM and stress matrix, and the next class will be one complete class about the BRD. BRD is very important. We have a lot to discuss, so I just thought to keep this separately so that we don't miss anything, and we get enough time, sufficient time to discuss and ask questions and review all those, the details about this document. So objective, as I said, by end of this course, you should be able to know what is MOM, what is RTM. RTM is like requirement traceability metrics, and how do we create an accurate and complete both of these documentations. And you should be able to know what are the benefits of RTM and MOM both. And when we write these documents, what are the key components we have to use writing these documents? And same goes to BRD. So in BRD, we will be discussing what is the definition of BRD and what is the purpose of the BRD, what are the different key components we write in the BRD, and what are the different good writing techniques that we have to keep in practice when we are writing the BRDs. So this will be completely a functional training on the documentations. Documentation is very important for BA role. You will always see yourself writing a lot of documentations, always, trust me. And these are some of the documents that you will use a lot most of the time. So please pay good attention to these training sessions and feel free to ask any questions you may have during the training. Stop me and ask your questions. Key points, as I always have been reminding you guys, you do not need to memorize anything unless there is a formula, and that mathematical formula, again, you have to memorize by practicing them. And I will always try to write this red icon that you see it here. This will be there if I want you guys to remember anything or memorize anything for the future work. Some key terms that I have been repeating from day one, you will see some of them I have changed, and most of them will continue as is. So I know you all know what these terms are, but just in case if you have any doubts in any of these terms, let me know. I would be able to answer your question. These are important terms that you will always hear people talking in your professional life working as a BA. What is MOM? MOM is minutes of meeting. It is also called minutes. You will hear people saying it only minutes, just minutes, and MOM or minutes of meeting. So official name is minutes of meeting. In short, we call it MOM. But in general, people, they frequently use the words minute, just minutes. So if you hear any of these terms, do not get confused. Now, what actually is MOM? MOM is nothing but the record of what is happening during any of the meetings. Whatever meeting you're joining or attending or facilitating, you will write the key points, the keynotes of that meeting, like what is something we have discussed. You may avoid noting everything that is being discussed, because in one of the meetings, there will be like hundreds of things that people will discuss and review. You don't need to capture everything. The only focus you have to do is, what are the key points that I would want to make a record so that people can review and I can review in future. So all those key points you will record, you will write, and that we call like minutes. And then you have to see if there is any action is also coming from there. Let's say we have discussed 5 items, and out of 5, one item is something we are taking it as an action, that somebody has to work, do something to fix it, or maybe as a team we all have to work on that particular thing. So you will also clearly write down what is the action we are taking, and who will be accountable for that action, and what is the timeline, when are we going to close that action. So those all important points you will document in MOM. This, as I said, this document is very important because you will be sharing this information to everyone within that meeting, or probably someone that did not join the meeting, but you want that person to see what we have discussed. Example, you want your managers or your the leaders to see what is the important points, what are different important points you guys have discussed. So you would want to share this MOM to them as well. So this is very important for you to write things very clearly, very precisely, and you need to document if there's any action and what is the due date. That is very important. We cannot have simple action without a due date. Due date is very important. When are we going to close, and targeting to close that thing? So that is very important. Now, when we write the MOM, what usually we should be writing in that document. So before I go ahead and talk about what are the different key things you will be writing, just let me give you, MOM is a very simple thing. You can simply write some bullet points in your email body that will be again considered as your MOM. You may have some fancy Excel or Word document that you may have created before, or your company might be using. And in that particular format, you will be writing all those points. That could be one of your MOM as well. So don't see it like in a very complicated document. This is very simple document, but very important thing, because we are capturing all those key points that we will review in future, maybe today, tomorrow, and maybe throughout the project life cycle. So this exercise is very important. However, the document and any format is not important. You can use your simple, as I said, email body or any other simple tool that you can use. You don't need any high-tech tool. You need high-touch tool. High-touch as in whatever you're writing is very important. So that should be very clearly and precisely mentioned, and it doesn't require you to go and use some fancy tools. So you need to focus on the contents of the MOM, not the documentation or the format. But since you are working as a BA, I would recommend you to use one of the formats so that it is easy for you to carry the same format always. And if you use the same thing always, people will be used to look at that, see that, and understand that. So this will be easy for everyone. So probably we can be like focus on only one format that we'll be using always. Okay, so we were talking what usually includes in the MOM. So this will have the name of the attendees, whoever is attending that meeting. You may also want to add the names who did not attend. Example, you invited 5 people, but 1 people did not show up. So you will specifically mention non-attendees and you will write the name. You may also write the name of the people you did not invite, but they joined or attended the meeting. We call them as a guest or external attendees. Sometimes what happens, you sent me an invite and you asked me, okay, we are going to discuss these topics in the meeting. And I believe someone from my team would be required or important for me to have that person as well in that meeting. So I will invite, and I may not ask your permission. I may simply go ahead and forward your email invite to that person, and that person will be joining. So that particular person that you did not invite but still joining will be your guest or external attendees. You will also write their names and what date you're having this meeting. And obviously, what was the agenda of the meeting? These are the basic things you will be writing. Now, what else? I'll teach you in further slides. I have one sample format for you. So I'll teach you what else we should be writing in that meeting, in that note. And basically what happens, minutes of meeting are typically taken by a designated person. It means as a BA, you may decide to write on your own, or you may decide to assign someone for taking the notes. And why would you assign someone? In what cases, what scenarios you will be doing and you will not be doing? Simple, pretty simple. Example, you're doing it like for maybe 2 or 3 people. Hopefully you should be able to manage things, you should be able to communicate, facilitate, talk, ask probing questions, and you should be also able to write things. Take an example where you have like large group of people and you have a lot of different points to discuss. You have a lot of other facilitations activities that you have to do. So in that case, probably you may not be able to write and do all those things in parallel all together. So you believe you might miss some of the important points to write, or you may not write in the way that should be written. So what you will do, you will assign someone just to take notes. Ask the person, okay, you don't have to worry about, you just keep adding whatever you can add in the points. And then I will review and I will see what are the important points that we have to continue and we have to remove. I'll take care of that. You just go ahead and start writing. So that is one of the ways you can decide to have someone writing those notes for you. Now, who that someone will be is completely depends. Could be your colleague, could be your some junior members, or maybe your senior member, maybe your project manager, maybe one of your team members, whoever. I really have no idea. That depends upon your the planning, how you are planning to take things forward, and what is the agenda you have. So that's one of the important points. And MOM is like a contract. It's official record. Why I'm saying, before we share this MOM and before we close the meeting, what normally we do is whatever documents or points we have written, as a BA, it is very important for you to go ahead and revise all those points with them, like kind of a recalling. Tell them, okay, folks, these are the important points we have discussed, and this is what I have taken as a note, and I'm going to share this with all of you after this meeting. And I may also include someone from the management. So if this looks good to you, that's fine. If you would like me to add or remove something, please let me know. So you ask then and there so that people are not surprised looking at your MOM notes in future. Sometimes what happens, you note down something which people may not feel comfortable with. They have discussed those points in the meeting, but they don't want you to document it, make it official, and send to everyone, to the management. So it is always advisable for you to tell them, give them the heads up, these are the points we have written, and I'm going to share with these group of people. So you will see people talking to you, and if they hear someone's name, probably they would be really alert, and they will ask you to add something or remove something or modify something in different way. So this will be like win-win situation for all of you. So I would always recommend you guys, before you share any of the MOM, before you call off that meeting, go ahead, before you let the people go back to their work, review that point quickly and win their confidence and be in a win-win situation so that you don't have any conflicts looking at the notes from different group of people. All right, so next we have, what is the objective of MOM? It looks like I have already discussed everything. I discussed what is MOM, what is the objective, but let us see what we have here in this slide. So the main objective of minutes of meeting is to create an accurate and complete record of the key points we have discussed, any decisions we have made, any actions that have been assigned during that meeting. So just three things. So the key points, what you have discussed, the key points, not everything, and any decisions that we have made or any action that we have taken. You will document these three main points in that MOM accurately, completely, precisely. No vague terms, no confusing sentences. Do not try to add your personal belief or your agenda. No, that should be completely a meeting notes. That should not be BS agenda or PM's agenda or product agenda. This is something what we are discussing. That could be good, or sometimes that may not be like that appealing, but you have to write all those points. So this MOM will provide you like, the good record, what we have discussed. Obviously, we are capturing all those main points. We are reviewing with the team. We are discussing, giving them the heads up what we are going to share with the team. And once we have sent this report to everyone, this will be a record for you. And this will be like a basis for the record you will always be using as a reference point, like who attended, what we discussed anytime during the project tenure. We have done some meeting today, and probably you might be reviewing those after 2 months during the project execution. You may have something came up at that time that you would want to review what was the base of these points. So you would want to go back and review those minutes. So this will be like a record for you that what was the discuss. This is very important. And you always keep these minutes somewhere uh, maybe on a company's any dedicated folder resources. If you're using any online tools like Confluence, SharePoint, you will have everything recorded, uploaded there in those places so that everyone can go ahead and watch and look at those records. And you want to make it like available publicly so that anyone can come within your organization and can see what was discussed at that time. So you want to like create a folder named minutes of meeting, and within those you want to create like a months folder or dates folder, and you will upload all those minutes so that every person in your team can go ahead and see it as a record. So this is very important. And obviously it facilitates accountability, as in, it clearly tells who is responsible for what thing and what action and what is the due date of that action. So this will work as an accountability document as well. You have something written and you have made me as accountable. Okay, Sajid will be completing this thing by this date, and obviously unless I say yes, you will not write those my name there in that point. So it is understood, we have discussed. And before you're sharing this, you're also going ahead at the final note, you're reviewing with the team members, okay, these are the points we have discussed, and this is one of the actions that Sajid will be doing by this date. So if I had any objections or anything to add or remove, I will tell then and there. So tomorrow, if that work is not getting completed, I may be held accountable for that, for done or for not done in both the cases. So this is very important for you. It's a very important document. So why I'm taking that much time to explain this, because you will see this very important documentation. This works very greatly with you as a BA, as long as you grow in the project. This is very important. It is important to have the record of what the points you have discussed. Doesn't matter what method you're working. If you're working an agile way of working or a waterfall way of working, that's completely fine. Minutes are something differently, which is common across the methods. You will be always using this thing. So as we were talking, what are the different key elements of the MOM? You will have the attendee's name, date and time of that meeting when you're facilitating. What is the agenda of that meeting? You have to set this agenda pretty well in advance and send an email to the people, or through any communication media. People should know what is the agenda of the meeting. That's the only way you can make it success. If people doesn't know what they're going to face and they're going to talk, they will not be ready for you. So in order for you to make them ready and be ready for you, answer your questions, you have to set the agenda in advance and let them know before the meeting. And you will have the discussion points in that MOM, and you will have any decisions and actions in that MOM. And you will also have deadlines for the completion, like in a due date, what date we will be completing. Okay, how to create an accurate and complete MOM? Writing points is something different, and accurately writing, completely writing is something different. People can talk a lot of things, but people can talk senseful things. It's a different thing. So the same way, you can write a lot of points, but is that really accurate or complete? How do you make sure I'm writing a complete and accurate MOM? So these are some of the points you may want to pay more attention or focused, so that you will create a good and complete MOM. So as I said, you need to have an agenda in advance. If you do not have agenda of the meeting, this will be completely a failure. You don't know what people are going to ask you or give you the responses on your questions. I'm not ready. So it is always important and advisable for you to set an agenda and let the people know, folks, this is the agenda of the meeting and we are going to discuss, and this is what I'm expecting from the meeting, from all the folks. So setting proper expectation is also very important. So you set the proper expectation in that agenda. Topic is this, and this is what my expectations from the meeting. So people will be well aware and ready to answer your question. You need to designate a note taker if needed. As I said, probably you might be calling C-level executives or the senior folks or junior folks. All people are coming together. You may not be able to facilitate things, control the meeting, and you may also have to ask probing questions. Make sure you're asking the right questions so people understand your question. And at the same time, you should also be writing everything. Sometimes this is not possible for you, so you would want to have someone who is dedicatedly taking the notes. So this is very important. And now you may ask, why don't I go ahead and record the session? You can do this. It's completely yours. It's fine. You can go ahead and have a video recording or audio recording, but you may not be able to finalize those notes before you close that meeting. As I have recommended you, you need to give them the heads up what are the different points you have taken and what you're going to share. So that recording might not serve that purpose. However, that might be a really important key tool for you when you do your homework and you would like to go ahead and see what we discuss in that meeting. You will see everything like from start to end in the recordings. That is one of the important tools, but probably that might not serve the purpose. So you need to have someone writing those notes for you, or if you can do, that's completely fine. And yep, you have to take notes throughout the meeting. You don't want to miss something. Sometimes what happens, people are talking something, they're reviewing something, and you come into the flow and you start keep talking, keep arguing, and keep asking probing questions, and you tend to forget writing notes. And then you move to the next topic, and then next, and then you suddenly recall, oh, I did not write the notes. I don't know what was, I do not remember what actually was discussion, what actually was the point. So you don't want to miss that. Sometimes people use some technical jargons. Technical jargons could be from the IT, from the sales, from the any other department, marketing. They all have their technical jargons. You may not understand everything, and you found something very important and you forget to write at that time because you were talking, or you are probably preparing your questions, probing questions, and then you were struggling to recall what was that word, what was that point, and you don't want to be in a situation, go and ask that person again, hey, what did you use that? What was the meaning? This will not give a professional, impression. So I would recommend you keep writing. You need to have someone writing those notes if you believe you cannot write while you're talking, while you're facilitating. Otherwise, it's completely fine to you. It's up to you. How do you manage things? And as I said, before you share that, finalize that MOM, you have to summarize the key discussion points. Summarize as in you have to summarize and let the people know this is what is the summary of this is what I have captured. This is what I'm going to share with everyone. So that one is very important for you. And you also have to write the decisions and any action that we have been talking the moment we started this discussion, MOM. Keep writing the key decisions and actions. Do not miss any actions and key decisions. This is very important. Key points, if you miss one of them, that's okay. But this is not okay if you miss the key decisions and actions, because people will be looking at the response back on those decisions and actions. So you don't want to miss it. So please keep writing. And review the distribution. Review and distribute the MOM. Obviously, you have to review, and then you have to send that MOM. If you do not email those MOM back to those folks who joined, it doesn't make sense, So you have to review before you send, and you make sure you hit the send button as well, so that people get it and they can review and they can respond you back. And that is the only way you can use it as a reference point. If you did not send any email, people doesn't have that record. Down the line in the future, during execution of the project, you may not be able to use that document as a reference point or as a contract because you did not share. People will simply say, I don't know. I don't have any background and idea what you're talking all about. But if you have shared, made that official, you can use it. So this is very important for you to send as well, everyone. Even though if you're going ahead and documenting this to SharePoint or Confluence or any other tool, I would also recommend you send an email copy as well, so that it gives you a record, a proof, official proof that you have sent something to people. All right, I think too much talking. Any questions from any one of you in any of the slides, any of the topics before I move ahead?
No, thank you.
No, thank you.
All right. So this is one of the sample that I have created. If you guys want, just comment, and probably I'll go ahead and link this Excel to the YouTube videos. You can download from there. Whereas, as I said, I need you guys to comment and let me know if you really need this format. I can upload in the Excel format. So this is a screenshot. This is something I have created and I always use in my projects. So if you carefully see, I have written the very first thing is a meeting reference. This could be a number as well. This could be some sentence as well. This is just a reference so that everyone is aware, and you or anyone who is looking at this note should be able to know, okay, what was the reference of that meeting? So let's say we have to write one MOM for 2 days training session that we are doing. So what should be the reference? I have written BA Essentials Part 3 training with Sajid. just a reference. This could be your subject line as well, summary line as well. Probably you can have some numbers as well, whatever works for you. Your company might be using some of the nomenclatures. You may want to use that or leverage it as well. It's completely open, and unless there's a company compliance, you can write the way that works for you and that makes easy for everyone to understand. You can write anything. So I have written BA Essentials Part 3 training with Sajid, and the date. There is today's date I've written here. And then who are the attendees? So I've written my name and then attendees 1, attendees 2, like your name. So you would want to write all the names, not attendees 1 and 2. I've written for an example. So you will write Sajid, person A, person B, person C, whatever, everyone's name there. And then if you have any external attendees, so you will write the name just in case any guest has joined your meeting. Anyone that who was not invited, you will write their names as well. And attendees that did not join. So who will be non-attendees in your case? If you have invited everyone, if you send the invite, you invite some people as a required and some as a mandatory, optional, required and mandatory, the same thing. So all those required people are your attendees, and optional, you may want them as an, I would say external or whatever, I don't know. Okay, just make it simple. Uh, Optional or mandatory, both are for your attendees. Write their names if they have joined. If anyone of them did not join, write in non-attendees, attendees absent, write their names. And then meeting agenda, you'll be writing what is the agenda of the meeting. So for us, what is the agenda? For us, we have a business analyst training and we have to review BA Essentials Part 3. That is our agenda of this meeting. So I've written that agenda there. Now coming back to the main section of this MOM. Key points that we have discussed. So I've written serial number. If you want, you can remove that section. Is completely up to you. How do you use it? And then you will start writing key points. So what are the key points we may have discussed today in this meeting? Number 1 I've written. Oh, I just copied and pasted in 2 and 3. I just missed writing number 1. So it's typo mistake. Number 2, it says reviewed BA Essentials Part 3 and understood what is MOM and how to create an accurate and complete minutes of meeting. This is what we have discussed. This was one of the key points we have discussed today. So that should be your key points. Second, I've written reviewed requirement traceability metrics, RTM, that we will review in this training. And then we have a started BRD training, but we did not complete. Now, if you go to the right hand side of the columns, I see there is responsibility and owner column. So if something is completed, I really don't mind writing the owners because that work has already been completed. I don't need to write. It's up to you. How do you write? If you would like to write, just write it. It's up to you. But for me, I don't really care if something has already been completed. And then there's no timeline because that is already completed. And a status I am saying completed. And the last one I'm saying is in progress. Okay, so now the next section of this MOM is action or carryover. So I did not want to create 2 different pages, so I have combined this action and carryover at one place to take a screenshot. You can have these 2 sections separately, one section for any action item and one for a carryover item. Now, what is the difference between these 2? Action is action. So what is the action for us here? We have to complete the BRD training. And what did we are targeting to complete? I've written April 1st, which is next weekend. We have to complete this BRD training by next weekend. Now, who is the owner? Who is responsible for this action? Sajid, it's me who will be the ultimate accountable, that I have to teach you guys, and you will always be accountable and one of the owners, trainees. If you do not join the meeting, if you do not show up, I will not be able to complete this training. So we all are the owners of this action. So whatever points you're getting during your meeting, you will see who will be the right person to work. Talk to the person, tell them without informing, do not write their names. Inform them, okay, hey, I'm going to write to make you as an accountable or as an action owner. Is that okay to you? Person will say yes, no, or probably say differently. And then once you agree, you will write their names here. And then the status is open. This status is open, completely open. We have to still work on these things. So that's the action. Now, what is carryover? Let's say next week, we could not complete this BRD training, say with any XYZ miscellaneous reasons. So we will have this point as a carryover action item. We had something for this thing, but we could not complete, and now it is carried carrying over to the next training or next meeting. So that's all those items that we had some action date, due date, and we could not complete, and that is getting carried over to the next sprint or next meeting. That will be your points you will write under carryover sections. So carryover and action could be same points, could be different points. That depends upon the discussion what you're having with the team. Any questions on this one?
No, thank you.
Cool. So if you don't have questions, maybe I have questions for you. What is the main objective of minutes of a meeting? Read the options and give me one correct answer that you believe should be.
It's A.
A.
Okay, let's see what is the answer. It's A. Yes, you guys are correct. What is the main objective of minutes of meeting is to provide a record of what was discussed. So, cool. What are some key elements that should be included in minutes of meeting?
A.
Any
Yeah,
other
it's A.
answer?
Only action items and deadlines discussion. Points, actually D.
D. Okay, let's see what is the answer. Okay, the answer is A. Attendees, agenda items, and decision mates. You will write everything in the minutes of meeting, not only action items and deadlines. That is one of the part of the this MOM. If you have one action, you will write. If you do not have any action, you will still write the important points that you have discussed, along with who are the attendees, what is the agenda, and any decisions that you have made. So you will write everything here. You will not write personal opinions, irrelevant details, and non-essential information. So only discussion points will not be the good answer, because you also have to write the actions, and only action items is not true, because you also have to write the key point that you have discussed, and you will not want to write any personal opinions. So the correct answer is option A. Okay, so this RTM, let's take a break, maybe a 5 minutes break, and we'll start with this RTM, and we'll complete this today. So everybody, please join in 5 minutes. Thank you.
Thanks.